What happens when the IRS suspects tax fraud during an audit? Hi, I'm David W. Klasing. I'm a criminal tax defense attorney and CPA. Let's talk about how a routine IRS tax audit can quietly turn into a criminal tax investigation. If you think an IRS tax audit is just about numbers, you're only half right. Behind every civil audit, the IRS is constantly watching for badges of fraud. These are signs that you didn't just make a mistake, but that you intentionally cheated. Once those signs appear, your routine tax audit can quietly become a criminal tax investigation, the kind that leads to search warrants, indictments, and prison time. In this video, I'll explain what happens when the IRS suspects tax fraud, how those cases actually start, and what to do before a small problem can become life-altering. As I said before, I'm a dual-licensed criminal tax defense attorney and CPA, and for years I've represented taxpayers and businesses caught between civil audits and criminal tax exposure. My team and I understand how IRS criminal investigation, or CI, builds a case and how to stop a civil exam from crossing that line to where they'd want to. Let's talk about how a civil audit turns criminal. A tax audit becomes criminal the moment the IRS believes there was willfulness or an intentional deception in your tax filing. Civil auditors are trained to spot what they call fraud indicators. When they find what they call firm indications of fraud, they will either stop the audit or refer your case to IRS criminal investigation or associate in a fraud technical advisor to develop the case for a handoff to CI. If the agent you've been emailing with suddenly disappears, your file may have been reassigned. Suddenly, two new faces can show up, special agents wearing guns and badges and carrying handcuffs. They start asking questions about your intent. Listen, that's the pivot point from civil enforcement over to criminal tax enforcement, where the goal of the government is now prosecution for the resulting deterrent effect on the rest of the population. And if you're not represented by a qualified dual-licensed criminal tax defense attorney and CPA at that very moment, you've already lost control of the narrative. Here are the tax crimes that get charged the most. Tax fraud isn't a single charge, it's a cluster of federal felonies. The most common include tax evasion under 26 U.S.C. 7201, willfully attempting to evade or defeat tax. This is punishable by fines and up to 5 years in prison per count. Filing a false return, 26 U.S.C. 7206, Section 1. Signing a return you know is materially false even if no tax was underpaid. Obstruction of tax administration, 26 U.S.C. 7212. Interfering with an IRS investigation through deceit, document destruction, or false statement. Payroll trust fund crimes, 26 U.S.C. 7202. Failing to remit withheld payroll taxes is a felony. This often triggers parallel civil assessments that are non-dischargeable in bankruptcy. False statements to federal agents, 18 U.S.C. 101. Lying to IRS special agents, a standalone felony, even if oral. Each one carries potential prison time and financial devastation. IRS CI doesn't just take every fraud lead. They choose cases they can win. Special agents prioritize cases with clear affirmative acts like fake invoices, hidden accounts, false deductions, solid paper trails, large provable tax losses, and contradictory taxpayer statements. They use data analytics, AI cross-matching, and third-party information from banks and payroll processors, and even cryptocurrency exchanges. They use this to reconstruct unreported income streams. Once they believe they can prove your intent beyond a reasonable doubt, they will forward the case to the Department of Justice Tax Division for prosecution. Conviction rates exceed 90% for cases that DOJ accepts. If IRS criminal investigation contacts you, whether through a phone call, a letter, or most likely in person, stop talking. Ask for identification, take their business cards, and whatever you do, politely decline to answer their questions until your attorney can be present. Lying to a federal agent can itself be a felony. Even casual comments can be used as evidence of your intent later. Do not call your accountant first. Account communications are not privileged. They can be subpoenaed, and your preparer can be forced to testify against you. Only an attorney can protect your statements under privilege. Only an attorney can protect your statements under privilege. Only an attorney can coordinate any accounting work safely under what's called the Cobell Agreement. The best criminal defense starts at the civil audit stage. If you cheated and you know you're under audit, call me, especially where you have a history of cheating on your tax returns. Our goal as tax defense counsel is simple: convince the IRS that the conduct involved was negligent or non-willful where possible. That means addressing factual inconsistencies, reconstructing records, and building a documented narrative that removes the badges of fraud. If handled early and correctly, many civil audits can be contained before CI ever gets involved. But once an IRS special agent has been contacted or contacts you, you're in a different arena, and every step must go through counsel at that point. Listen, voluntary disclosure is always the safest option if you're willing to fix the problem before they come knocking on your door. For taxpayers who know they've crossed the line in multiple tax years, the safest way to regain compliance is the IRS Criminal Investigation Voluntary Disclosure Practice, the VDP. It allows even blatantly willful taxpayers to come forward before CI comes a-knocking. Pre-clearance and submissions are made on Form 14457. When accepted, the program nearly guarantees a pass on criminal tax prosecution. That's in exchange for full cooperation, amended returns, and payments of back taxes, penalties, and interest. But listen to me, timing is everything. Once the IRS begins a civil exam or a criminal tax investigation, you're no longer eligible for a VDP. Handled by the right tax attorney and CPA team, a VDP can turn potential criminal tax exposure into a structured, purely civil resolution. Let's talk about when you need an attorney, not a CPA, not a preparer. A tax preparer or accountant cannot optimally defend you. They're not trained for it. They can't offer you privilege or constitutional protections. They can't negotiate with federal prosecutors, and they can't protect your communications once CI gets involved. A dual licensed tax attorney CPA combines both sides of the equation: the accounting expertise to fix the numbers and the legal authority to defend your intent. At the tax law offices of David W. Klasing, every criminal tax case is led by an attorney CPA, me. We manage privilege, we coordinate all accounting under Cobell, and we control every message sent to the IRS. That structure is what consistently keeps our clients out of handcuffs. Let's talk about what our process looks like. From day one, we stabilize the file. We route all communication through counsel. We sequence document production. We prepare the factual record before CI builds theirs. We model penalties and interest, evaluate eligibility for voluntary disclosure, and by all means, we position your case for the best outcome possible. Whether that means keeping it civil during an audit, negotiating a plea bargain if everything goes to hell, or resolving through settlement, our results speak for themselves. If you believe your IRS audit might be turning criminal, or if you've already been contacted by the IRS criminal investigation folks, don't wait. One wrong move can turn a civil matter into a felony. Call the tax law offices of David W. Klasing at 800-681-1295 or visit klasingassociates.com to schedule a confidential, reduced-rate initial consultation today. We'll protect your rights, we'll preserve your freedom, and we'll guide you safely back into tax compliance.